Hello, gamer friends! So here we are in our lab for population density, and I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what population density is, show you how to do the calculation for it, and then kind of set you loose and have you explore the rest. So population density, the two words both mean something. Population is pretty simple, and it's something that we can understand pretty easily. For example, here you have all 50 states, Alabama down to Wyoming, in alphabetical order. You also have the area of those states in square miles. So you can see which states are small, like my home state of Delaware is pretty small, and Alaska is really, really, really big. And then next to that, you have each state's population. Now, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to sort column C, and I'm going to sort it, let's sort it ascending. Because what this does is it puts the smallest state's population at the top, which is Wyoming, only about 500,000 people. Vermont has the next larger number of people. Alaska has the next larger number of people. North Dakota, and so forth and so on. All the way down, I believe California. Yep, California has the most people. Texas has about 9 million less. Florida's got about 8 million less than Texas, and so forth and so on. So Wyoming is the least populous state, and California is the most populous state. So what's population density, and how does that bring in this other measurement? Well, what population density basically does, I'm going to put this back in alphabetical order. What population density does is it takes all the people in a state and spreads them out evenly. And then it says, okay, if we do that, if we were to do that, how many people per square mile would there be? So if you imagine a square mile with people standing on it, which is very hard to imagine. Just a square mile is a big, big, big thing. But if you were to imagine people standing in a square mile, how many people would be in that square mile? So another way to think of it is as, and I put the unit right here, people per square mile. So you take the people per, which means to divide square miles. So what we're going to do right here in cell D2 is we're going to type a formula. This is going to be fun. So in Sheets, in case we haven't talked about this yet, anytime you type a formula, and we'll mention this every time we do a Sheets formula, you have to type an equal sign first. Okay, that's the first thing you have to do. And what you're then going to do is you have to put in the math you want Sheets to do. Now, in this case, I want Sheets to take the people for Alabama and divide it by the area, which is square miles for Alabama. And I'm going to press enter. Now, your computer might or might not give you this autofill. If it does, you can hit the check mark, and that's fine. And you can do that right now. I'll come back and talk about that in a second. Otherwise, it might just look like this. I've never understood why certain people's computers give them the autofill and certain ones don't. Don't worry, we'll get around that. What I want to talk about right now, though, is what does that 97 mean? So what this means is if you were to draw square miles all over Alabama, break it into square miles, you could fit 97 people spread out evenly on each of those square miles. This isn't, of course, how people actually live in states. They don't spread out evenly. They usually cluster near large urban centers, like in Alabama, I would imagine Birmingham. They'd have a lot of people. But the population density of the entire state, on average, if you spread them all out evenly, would be 97 people per square mile. Now, like I said before, if those of you that got that autofill could just hit the checkbox. What that actually does, and we're going to do it here, you see there's this little blue circle here? That's always going to exist in a cell if you put a formula into a cell. What that allows you to do is to click and grab, hold, and pull down. I'm just going to pull it down. Oh, I guess I pulled it down to 2 states here. So remember the formula we typed up here was equals C2 divided by B2? Well, you could retype the formula here and type equals C3 divided by B3. But this is one of the most important, if not the most important part of a spreadsheet is, once you type a formula correctly in one cell, if you want to replicate that all the way down, you can just click this and drag while you're holding. click and drag while you're holding all the way to the bottom, in this case Wyoming, and let go. And there, my dear friends, are all of the population densities of all of the states. So, for example, in Alabama, you've got 97 people on average per square mile. Alaska, only 1, which hopefully makes sense. It doesn't have very many people, but it's got a heck of a lot of area. A lot of room for Alaskans to spread out if they wanted to. And again, they don't. I mean, they're not spread out. There's nobody's living on the top of Denali. But you could spread them out, and that's what per capita means in this case, per people per square mile. Arizona is between Alabama and Alaska in density, as is Arkansas. California is very dense. Is it the most dense? Well, no. Even though it's got the most people, it's not the most dense. Look at Connecticut, for example. It only has 10% of the people California has. But it also has much less area than California has, which means Connecticut is a very, very dense area. As a matter of fact, most of the states along the Mid-Atlantic are going to be very, very dense. Connecticut, even though it's more New England than Mid-Atlantic. Delaware, what else is down here? Let's look at some other ones. Maryland, that's a Mid-Atlantic state. Massachusetts, where Boston is, you got some big towns up there. So those Mid-Atlantic, Jersey, 1,000 people per square mile. Right, that's right next to my home state of Delaware. So anyway, now you've got a measure for population density. Which states have the most people on top of them on average? Let's look at these first couple questions here. Okay, which state has the largest population density, and what is that population density with its correct unit? Okay, let's go back to the sheet, wherever it is. Here we go. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, dear friends, is I'm going to sort this sheet, this column, excuse me, Z to A, which means largest to smallest, because that way I see the largest population density right here. It's 1,062 people per square mile in the great state of New Jersey. So answer number 1 up here, largest population density is the dirty Jers, New Jersey. And what is its population density? I forget that number exactly. 1,062 people per square mile. 1,062 people per square mile. Eventually, I'm going to have you convert how many square feet does each person get and things like that, but that's the next lesson. We'll get into that. Okay. I just said let's make sure we can also sort to find it. Well, we just did, didn't we? And now we're going to go the lowest population density, which means we're going to resort there too. So I'm going to sort the other way now. And Alaska, with 1 person per square mile, is the least. All right, here we go. Alaska, about 3,000 miles away. Oh, actually more than 3,000 miles away from New Jersey. 1 person per square mile. Try to spell that correctly. I spelled it so badly, even autocorrect doesn't know what I mean. There you go. All right, so now that you've got that in hand, try the next few.